chapter about Mughals. Okay, 16th to 17th century उनके बारे में है ये. Learning outcome: बाबर, अकबर, शाहजहां, हुमायूं, जहांगीर and Aurangzeb. The Mughal Empire, which flourished from the early 16th to the late 17th century, was a significant and influential period in Indian history. Founded by Babur in 1526 after his victory at the First Battle of Panipat, the Mughal Empire marked the beginning of a new era, characterized by remarkable advancement in art, culture, architecture, and governance. The Mughals were descendants to the two great lineage of rulers. Okay, so from their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan died 1277. The Mongol ruler who ruled over parts of China and Central Asia from their father's side. They were the successor of Timur, died 404, the ruler of Iran. So Iraq in modern day Turkey. However, the Mughals did not like to be called Mughal or Mongol. This was because Genghis Khan's memory was associated with the massacre of innumerable people. So it was also linked with the Uzbeks, their Mongol competitors. On the other hand, the Mughals were proud of their Timurid ancestry, not least of all because their great ancestor had captured Delhi in 1398. So they celebrated their genealogy pictorially, each ruler getting a picture made of Timur and himself. Now we will first of all we will talk about Babur. The real names of Babur was Zahiruddin Muhammad. His father was a descendant of Amir Timur, while his mother belonged to Genghis Khan's family. So Mirza Umar Sheikh, his father, was the chief of Fargana, a small state in Central Asia. So he died when Babur was only 11 years old. So Babur's enemies deprived him of his Jagir and he had to leave his native place in despair. So then he came down to Kabul in order to expand his empire and strengthen his position in Central Asia. He invaded India 5 times. In the 5th battle, known as the Battle of Panipat, he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in 1526. This was the beginning of the Mughal rule. So in the Battle of Khandwa, 1527, at Rana Sanga, the ruler of Chittor and the greatest Rajput king of this time, was defeated. With this, Babur and complete control over North India. Even after Khandwa, Babur had to fight a battle at Ghagra against the Afghans in 1528 and other battle at Chanderi against the Rajputs in 1529. And Babur did not live long to consolidate his empire. He died in 1530 and he was succeeded by his eldest son Humayun. किसकी वजह से जीता वो? अपने बड़े बेटे हुमायूं की वजह से. Now talk about Humayun. After the death of Babur, his son Humayun succeeded his father, but according to the Timurid tradition, he had to share power with his brothers. So like Babur, he did not command the respect and esteem of the nobility. The sustained imperial power and hegemony, Humayun had to fight against the Afghans both in the east and the west. At the same time, he had to face hostilities from his own brothers who weakened his cause against the Afghans. Afghan, under the leadership of Sher Khan, popularly known as Sher Shah Suri, captured Gaur, the capital of Bengal, and beside Mahmud Shah, the ruler of Bengal, Sher Khan defeated Humayun first at the Battle of Chausa and then at Kannauj. Humayun fled from India and sought refuge in Persia, ruled by the Safavid dynasty. He conquered Kabul and Kandahar and captured Delhi and Agra. So he re-established the Mughal rule in 1555 but died in 1556, leaving behind his minor son Akbar under heavy odds. Sher Shah Suri. Sher Shah Suri was also referred to as Sher Khan, was the son of a small Jagirdar from Jaunpur. His original name was Farid Khan. In his youth, he killed a tiger with his bare hands. He emerged as a strong ruler of Bihar and occupied the throne of Delhi in 1540 by defeating the Mughal Emperor Humayun. So his empire extended from the river Jhelum in the west to the river Brahmaputra in the east and from the Indus and the Himalayas in the north to the river Narmada in central India excluding Kashmir, Malwas and Rajasthan. System was well organized under Sher Shah. He paid great attention to the growth of trade and commerce, improvement of communication and modernization of the army. The welfare of the people was one of his prime concerns. Most of his reforms reflected this concern. Sher Shah Suri also reformed the currency system, making it uniform in nature. So, he struck fine coins, rupiah, made of gold, silver and copper in place of the mixed metal coins. He built an excellent network of roads together, known as the Grand Trunk Road. So, initially referred to as a Sarak-e-Azam, he built sarais throughout his empire for the convenience of travelers and ensured the safety of roads and highways. Akbar. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was born on 14 November 1542 in Amarkot when his father Humayun was in exile. It is sad that when the news of the birth of his son reached Humayun, so he was in a destitute condition and had nothing to celebrate the occasion. So Humayun broke a pod of musk and distributed it among his fellows, praying that the fame of his son would extend all over the world as the perfume of the musk. So Humayun died in 1556, designating his son Akbar as his successor on the throne and Baran Khan the young king's regent. In his early life, Akbar showed little interest in reading and writing. However, he showed his fondness for horse riding and swordmanship. Soon he became an expert warrior. So Akbar received the news of the death of his father Humayun at Kalanur, Punjab, where he along with Bahram Khan was chasing Sikandar Sur. Bahram Khan took immediate steps and raised the 13-year-old Akbar as emperor to the throne. He himself became his regent. It was a difficult task for a boy of 13 years to deal with such as difficult situations. So during this time, his position in India was not strong. So the Afghan army under the Hemu Vikramaditya defeated the Mughal army and captured Agra and Delhi. So in the second battle of Panipat fought between Hemu Vikramaditya and Bahram Khan in 1556, and Hemu was defeated. It gave Delhi and Agra back to Akbar. Agra became the capital of the Mughal Empire. So during the next 4 years, Bahram Khan enjoyed supreme position in the state as the emperor's guardian and prime minister from 1556 to 60. And he captured Punjab, Jaunpur, Ajmer and Gwalior for Akbar. Since the king was a minor, so Bahram Khan virtually ruled over the kingdom. Therefore, Akbar now wanted the control of the empire in his hands. So Bahram Khan was also very unpopular among the nobles. So Akbar was intelligent enough to sense the unhappy state of affairs. So he dismissed Bahram and in 1560 Akbar took over the regens from Bahram Khan and sent him on pilgrimage to Mecca. So but Bahram Khan was killed on the way in Gujarat. During the regency period of Bahram Khan, besides Delhi and Agra, Jaunpur, Gwalior and Ajmer were conquered. Ambitious Akbar took up the task of expansion of empire in a planned manner. So first of all, he conquered northern India. Malwa. Stories of Baz Bahadur and Rani Rupmati are well known. At that time, Bahadur paid little attention to the administration, so which made the kingdom weak. So taking advantage of this situation, Akbar sent an army to conquer Malwa under the leadership of Adam Khan and Pir Muhammad. So Malwa was defeated. तो उसने क्या किया? मालवा को हरा दिया. किनको अपने साथ लिया था? आदम खान और पीर मोहम्मद को. Okay, but after some time, Baz Bahadur reoccupied Malwa. In 1562, Akbar sent another army to conquer Malwa. Akbar annexed Malwa to the Mughal Empire and showing generosity gave a mansab to Baz Bahadur. Gondwana. In 1564, Rani Durgavati was the ruler of Mughal army. And as Asaf Khan attacked Gondwana, she faced the Mughal army bravely. When the Rani lost every hope winning, she stabbed herself to death in order to avoid capture, dishonor. thus Mughal occupied Gondwana. The Rajput kingdom. Akbar was an imperialist and faceted ruler. He knew that it would be difficult to consolidate the Mughal Empire in India without the support of Rajput. So therefore he established friendly relations with Rajput. ठीक है, तो क्या किया उसने, अकबर ने, उसको पता था कि यहाँ पे रहना मुश्किल है, तो उसने राजपूतों के साथ अपने कनेक्शंस बनाए. The first Rajput family to enter into a friendly alliance with Akbar was that of Raja Bihari Mal of Ambar. He got his daughter Jodhabai married to Akbar. जोधा की शादी उन्होंने अकबर के साथ कर दी. So the Mughal emperor honored the Raja's family by offering Bhagwan Das and Man Singh high post in the Mughal court. So he won for Akbar most of the territories that formed a part of the Mughal empire. But Rana Uday Singh refused to accept Akbar's offer for friendship. Rana Uday Singh gave command to his two noble generals, Jagmal and Patta. So Rajput under their leadership gave a tough fight but lost Chittor. So Rana Uday Singh was succeeded by Rana Pratap. So he continued the fight against the Mughals in 1576. So the Mughal forces defeated the Rana at the famous battle of Haldi Ghati. Still the Rana continued his war. So at last he conquered back large parts of his kingdom. In 1576, Bengal and Bihar were also annexed to the Mughal kingdom. Akbar led an expedition against Gujarat. It was a port of great importance to Akbar. Muzaffar Shah, ruler of Gujarat, was defeated by Akbar. So he got the Buland Darwaza constructed at Sikri. Likewise, Kashmir, Sindh, Kabul and Multan were added to the Mughal Empire, and thus the chain of defense of the northwest frontier province was completed. So having fully secured his way over northern India, Akbar thought of conquering the Deccan. He wanted to overthrow the Portuguese who had established their factories along the sea coast and were also building up their naval power. From 1595-1601, and Akbar sent expeditions to the Deccan to subdue the Portuguese. Chand Bibi of Ahmednagar, the aunt of the child ruler, heroically defended the kingdom, but the nobles accused her of the treachery and murdered her. But Akbar could not have complete control of Ahmednagar during his lifetime. Having completed all his conquests, Akbar thus controlled a very vast empire in 1605, and Akbar died and was buried at Sikandar near Agra. Akbar's administration. Akbar established an empire over a large part of India and introduced an organized administration. He also recognized the nobility and restored law and order in the country. So he paid a great attention to the central and provincial governments. Basically, his system was based on the similar structure of government. So as that of the Delhi Sultanate, the post of Wakil was stripped of all powers and remained decorative. There were 4 ministers who shared the duties and responsibilities besides the Wakil. So they were Diwan-e-Kul, or Diwan also called Wazir, responsible for revenue and finance. So the Mir Bakshi was responsible for military organization. The Sadr was responsible for ecclesiastical and judicial department. So Mir Saman was in charge of factories and stores maintained by the states. The Nauratna. अकबर के दरबार में कौन थे? 9 रत्न होते थे. कौन कौन थे वो? 9 gems of Akbar's court. Raja Birbal, spiritual guide. Raja Man Singh, spiritual Rajput guide. Raja Todarmal, Wazir. Hakim Human, Mullah Dupiaza. Faizi, Persian poet. Abul Fazl, writer Aine Akbari. Abdul Rahim, and Tansen, who is Hindustani schools of music. तो इनको नवरत्न कहा जाता था. Akbar divided the Mughal Empire into 12 subas or provinces. 12 सूबों में बांट देता उसने इसको. Each suba was divided into a number of sarkars, and each sarkar was further divided into parganas, which comprised of different villages. So the governor of the province, the Subedar, was the most important person of the province. He looked after the administration with the help of other officers. So there was another officer whose name is still familiar in the towns and villages of northern India. This was the Kotwal, who was the officer in charge of town administration. Police stations were called the Kotwali. So the Kotwal was responsible for catching criminals. So he also inspected the weights and measures used by the merchants so that no one could be cheated by them. Another job Kotwal did was to keep a register of all persons living in the neighborhood, including visiting foreigners, and this made him into a kind of census officer. Akbar introduced मानसाबदारी system under which every officer was assigned a rank, यानी कि मानसाब. So the rank was divided into Jat and Sawarjat, fixed the personal status and salary due to a person. So Sawar rank indicated the number of troopers a person is required to maintain the troops maintained by the mansabdar could be used by the emperor whenever he wished. But Akbar had a select body directly under his control and a strong artillery arm, so there was little danger of the mansabdars using their troops against the emperor. So every noble had to bring his contingent for a periodic inspection. The income of the state. Agriculture was the main occupation of the people. है ना, खेती बहुत ज़्यादा होती थी उस टाइम पे. Trade was also an important economic activity. Foreign trade was varied. Mughal nobility was fond of luxuries which were imported from Arabia, Africa and Asian countries. During this period, European trading companies like Portuguese, Dutch, English and French also began trade mainly in spices and textile. The government collected revenue from two sources, the land and trade. दो होते थे, land भूमि का और व्यापार का revenue. Most of the revenue was spent in paying the salary of the officers. Officers पे खर्च करते थे, जैसे आजकल होता है ना, जो हमारा टैक्स होता है वो आर्मी पे यूज होता है, उनकी गाड़ीज, उनकी बुलेट प्रूफ गाड़ीज वगैरह, तो उनके लिए होता है. ऐसे ही जो है जो टैक्स होता था वो ऑफिसर्स की उसमें सैलरी जाती थी. The higher officials received very large salaries which enabled them to live in great luxury. The revenue system of Akbar was a grand success. Akbar wanted detailed information on the produce and revenue of his empire. So the produce of the land varied from region to region. Raja Todarmal was asked to make an estimate of the land revenue. So this assessment was helpful to the peasants. Now they would know how much of their produce they could keep and how much they had to give to the state. Also, this had to be done in order to check the amount of revenue which was being sent to the government. अब धार्मिक नीति क्या थी? Religious policy. Akbar was liberal, ठीक है, and religious tolerant king of India. He built Ibadat Khana in Fatehpur Sikri where the emperor had discussions on various religions. Some of the Muslim teachers of Islam religion were of course much upset by Akbar showing so much respect towards other religions. अच्छा नहीं लगता था कुछ लोगों को ये. Later on he suggested a new religious path. This was based on the common truths of all religions and a few rules which he took from various religions. This religious path was referred to as the Din-e-Ilahi or divine monotheism, the religion of the one God. यानी कि भगवान एक ही है, अब आप मानो, उनको मानने के तरीके अलग अलग हैं. He discouraged killing of animals and suggested that people should stop eating meat at least for a few days every year. He strongly disapproved of women becoming satis on the death of their husbands. He also introduced the veneration of the sun, fire and light in his rituals. Okay, तो उसने मतलब ये चीजें उसने कही थी कि हर साल जो है मतलब साल में कम से कम हफ्ते में एक हफ्ते के लिए मीट नहीं खाना चाहिए, और जो औरतें होती थी जिनको सती किया जाता था वो रुकना चाहिए, ठीक है. सन, फायर एंड लाइट इन हिज रिचुअल. सो अकबर रिस्पेक्टेड द फीलिंग्स ऑफ डिफरेंट रिलीजियंस पीपल. Some of nobles such as Raja Birbal, Raja Man Singh were the favorite of the emperor. Akbar was a great ruler not because he ruled was vast empire but because of his concern for the people of the country. है ना, कंट्री के लोगों से क्या था, उसको कंसर्न था, वो एक काइंड हार्टेड पर्सन था. Akbar's great dream was that India should be united as one country. He also believed that if people followed his new teachings, there would be unity and peace. Architecture. There was prosperity in the country during the reign of Akbar. He took keen interest in erecting building through the efforts of Akbar to prevailing Persian and Hindu styles of architecture enlightenment and took the form of new style of architecture. Akbar built Humayun's tomb at Delhi. This is the earliest monument of his time. So Akbar built a fort at Agra. Okay, at his 500 buildings of red sandstone, Jahangir Mahal in Agra Fort, as fine ornate handwork fort at Lahore, was also built by Akbar. But the most ambitious architectural project and notable building achievement of Akbar's reign was the new capital city of Fatehpur Sikri and its buildings. The most magnificent building at Sikri are Jodha Bai Place. So the residential places of Maryam and the Sultana, the house of Birbal, the Sonhala Makkan, or the house of the princes of Ambar, the Diwane Khas, Panch Mahal, Jama Masjid, Buland Darwaza, and the tomb of Sheikh Salim Chishti. All these are secular buildings, but the most impressive part of Fatehpur Sikri is the group of structures of religious nature, in which Jama Masjid predominates. The highest architectural skill was concentrated on the masjid. Paintings. During the Akbar time, paintings made remarkable progress. He created a separate department of painting with Khwaja Abdul Samad as its head. Other foreign painters were Farooq Beg and Jamshed. Akbar encouraged pictorial art in all possible ways and engaged master painters to illustrate numerous famous works as the Chengiz Nama and Zafarnama, the Ramayana, Kalyadaman, and Ayardanish. The best works of paintings were undertaken when Akbar was staying at his new capital Fatehpur Sikri. Music. Akbar was a great lover of music. He had a good knowledge of the technique of music and played exquisitely on the Indian instrument, Nakraha, and he is reported to have composed tunes. His liberal patronage and keen interest in music attracted to the imperial court a large number of musicians. So Hindus, Iranis, Turanis and Kashmiris, both men and women, the court musicians were arranged in 7 groups, 1 for each day in a week, and Akbar used to listen to their music with rapt attention. So the most renowned of these was Mian Tansen of Gwalior, about whom Abul Fazl writes that a singer like him has not been in India for the last 1000 years. So Baz Bahadur of Malwa, employed by Akbar, was also noted for his music and Hindi song. With the exception of Mubarak and Abul Fazl, the Amir and courtiers of Akbar was also noted for his music and Hindi songs. With the with the exceptions of Mubarak and Abul Fazl, the Amir and courtiers of Akbar like Abdur Rahim, Khana, Raja Bhagwan Das and Raja Man Singh patronized musicians. The celebrated singers and musicians composed and introduced new varieties of rags, yani ragas, like Tarana, Tumri, Ghazal, Qawwali, etc. And some Sanskrit works written on music were translated into Persian language. Literature. Akbar himself was illiterate, but he gave patronage to scholars, poets and historians. He encouraged literature. He also spent many hours in educating himself. Among his close friends with whom he had long discussions were 2 brothers, Abul Fazl and Faizi. Abul Fazl wrote a book, Akbarnama, of which a section is the famous Aine Akbari. Akbar's reign proved a golden period for Hindi and Sanskrit literature. He gave patronage to Hindi writers and poets. Akbar ordered one of his close friends and countries, Abul Fazl, to write a history of his reign. Abul Fazl wrote a 3-volume history of Akbar's reign titled Akbarnama. The first volume dealt with Akbar's ancestors and the second volume recorded the events of Akbar's reign. So the third volume is the Aine Akbari. It deals with Akbar's administration, household, army, the revenues, and the geography of his empire. It also provides rich details about the traditions and culture of the people living in India. So the most interesting aspect about the Aine-Akbari is its statistical details about things as diverse as crops, yields, prices, wages, and revenues. Jahangir. After the death of Akbar, his son Jahangir came to the throne in 1605. At Jahangir was an educated and able administrator known for the impartial justice to his people, irrespective of their religious faith. He continued Akbar's policy and earned respect from all spheres of the society. So Mughal rule under Jahangir was noted for political stability, brisk economic activity, beautiful painting, and monumental buildings. By the beginning of 17th century, the Mughal Empire had acquired unparalleled military strength and economic prosperity. One of the political triumphs of Jahangir's reign was the submission of Rana Amar Singh of Mewar. Jahangir captured the fort of Kangra. After a long sigh, a part of Ahmednagar was also annexed. So Malik Ambar ceded to the Mughals the territory of Balaghat. Jahangir's reign was, however, marked by several revolts. Okay, so Guru Arjan Dev was martyred during this period, thus alienating the Sikh community. Even Jahangir's son Prince Khurram rebelled against him in the last years of his reign. During Jahangir's time, European traders had started coming to India in 1600. Captain William Hawkins, a representative of the East India Company, came to Jahangir's court. So the first ambassador to the Mughal court was Sir Thomas Roy, who came in 1615. He was able to secure many trading facilities for his countrymen, and the first English trading post was established at Surat. Shah Jahan. After the death of Jahangir, Khurram succeeded the throne as Shah Jahan in 1628. In 1628, he defeated Raja Jujhar Singh of Budelkhands, and again in 1635 and was killed. So there were three major states in the Deccan: Ahmednagar, Bijapur, and Golconda. These states created troubles for the Mughal Empire and Prince Aurangzeb was made the Subedar, viceroy of the Deccan. So Shah Jahan also had trouble with the Portuguese because they still practiced piracy. So the Mughal armies acted against them and cleared them out of Hubli. Shah Jahan's relations with the English were, however, cordial. Many of foreign travelers, including the French, like Bernier and Trevenier, and Italian Manuki, visited his kingdom. They have left a vivid account of his reign. Shah Jahan's reign, however, best remembered for his many buildings and fine architecture activities, which we shall study towards the close of this chapter. He faced famine and plague in a large part of Gujarat, Khandesh, and Deccan, in which thousands of people died. So Abdul Hamid Lahori described in his accounts the strategies adopted by Shah Jahan to control situations of famine and plague. In addition to Jahangir's empire, the Nizam Shahi's dynasty of Ahmednagar was brought under Mughal control by Shah Jahan. The Deccan Sultanate of Bijapur and Golconda accepted his supremacy in 1636. So he reconquered Kandahar in 1638 and routed the Uzbeks at Balkhan in 1647 and annexed the region of Kamarupa in Assam. Shah Jahan shifted the capital of the Mughal Empire from Agra to Delhi and ruled over the Red Fort. ठीक है, अब वो क्या करना चाह रहा था? Empire from Agra to Delhi, वो बनना चाह रहा था उसका, वो शिफ्ट करना चाह रहा था कैपिटल को. So the last of the great Mughals. Now we will talk about Aurangzeb. The last of the great Mughal Aurangzeb ascended. Why he is not great? These are not great. These are the coward. इन्होंने इतने साल हम पे राज किया और हमारे देश को लूटा. Aurangzeb ascended the throne at Delhi, assuming the title of Alamgir. He ruled for 50 years till his death in February 1707 in Ahmednagar during his reign. Aurangzeb tried to fulfill his great ambition of bringing the entire subcontinent under one rule. So it was under his rule that in 1687 Bijapur and Golconda, the last of the two Shia states, surrendered to the Mughal Empire. So the Marathas continued to fight against Aurangzeb for some time. The last 26 years of Aurangzeb was devoted his relentless Deccan camping, for the purpose of which he had moved his court to Deccan. So under Aurangzeb's rules, the border of the Mughal Empire spread out further than ever before. But due to lack of communication and poor infrastructure, it was difficult to hold the empire together. So if the court was in the north, there was a rebellion in the south, and vice versa. He faced many rebellions from the Marathas under Shivaji, the Sikhs, the Jat and the Satnamis. Though he ruled longer than any of his predecessors, yet he could not stop the decline of the Mughal Empire, which Hassan, after his demise as one of his sons, was trained to rule. A war of succession also followed his death. Aurangzeb, though a staunch Muslim, gave many grants for the restoration of Hindu temples during his reign. He also appointed Hindus to leading and commanding position in his government. His chief architectural achievement is the Badshahi Mosque at Lahore, the largest mosque in the world of that time. Okay, so the all topics are covered in this chapter. I hope you all are very well understand it. We will meet you the next class. Thank you.